It is time. Years have gone by since the beginning of the end of a legacy. The change to the Isle has been immense in this time. We've seen maps come and go, new additions to the roster, as well as the return of old favorites. But in the grand scheme of things, we've only gotten a taste of what the Isle ultimately plans to offer. And now, after so long, the first true apex enters the arena. Triceratops. Perhaps the most iconic herbivorous dinosaur stomped its way into the horde test. And now everything is about to change. Or is it? Spawning in on trike went about how most spawns go. Apparently these chunky little tubs of lard spawn most often in south or west rail. So right in the middle of two of the largest hotspots currently existing on the island. In typical me fashion, when playing something so incredibly slow, I picked up photosynthetic tissue as my first mutation. Would it actually do much? Not when it comes to fighting the carnivores that would hunt me. But when it comes to new playables being introduced, hyper-aggressive players come out in droves to try and kill those who are growing the new thing. So being able to, at best, flee from, and at worst, move the same speed as other trikes was going to be important. And so I headed for Sanctuary to starve myself before gorging on mushrooms. Oh, but first I paused under an orange tree, for only a moment, and was immediately attacked by a slightly larger than me Cerrado, and promptly both pummeled and rescued by a trike juvenile that probably weighed as much as an adult Cerrado. Not interested in grouping up, I continued on my way to the Sanctuary. Navigating tight spaces as a trike is, in a word, painful. Imagine driving a bus, but it has only 3 wheels instead of 4, and you have to sit in the very back seat and turn the wheel with a pulley system. Yeah, that's pretty much trike right now. Keep in mind that it doesn't actually have its sparring active yet, though, so we can hope that it will at least be somewhat more maneuverable in the near future. Maybe we can move forward to the middle of the bus that we're driving. Anyway, in the Sanctuary, I discovered nesting Trudeons, by basically laying down on their front porch. Only after they returned did Goldilocks here realize she was sitting that close to the 3 bears. But it was fine. I didn't move, they didn't see me. And eventually, when I got hungry enough, I slipped away silently to find mushrooms. After getting a drink with the protection of a larger trike, and watching the sun beginning to set, I made the decision to make my way back for one final mushroom grab before vanishing into the forest to hide and grow until morning. Oh, by the way, night vision is completely broken in this horde test build, so I apologize in advance for any exceptionally dark footage. I've doctored it up as best I can, but if I had to suffer through playing in blackness, surely we can all point and laugh together now. This is important to note, because as I left the Sanctuary and started for the trees, I was spotted by the nesting Trudon pack. They don't seem like much of a threat at first pounce. I weighed almost as much as an adult raptor already, after all. But you see, Trudon venom gets more potent with each pounce. And with my previously established school bus agility, well, let's just say that I was an easy target. Or so they thought. Trike's greatest defense is just that. Defense. Using terrain, bulk, and sheer power to survive an onslaught. And so, instead of risking death by 6 or so pounces, I began searching for the tightest space I could reasonably back myself into without getting stuck. Guard the back and sides, face the enemy. I didn't feel safe, and quickly found that I wasn't. 4 pounces in, I was not okay. 5 in, and I was on death's door. But I'd found exactly what I was looking for. 2 cycads close together with a rocky wall at their back. Just in time, too. Darkness was coming fast, and without working night vision, I would soon be blind. One attempted to jump pounce me and failed miserably, finding itself somehow on the wrong end of my spiky face. The rest moved cautiously around in the dark, looking for some way, any way, to get at my vulnerable sides. And eventually, when it got so dark that even the lines available with night vision on were essentially useless, I killed another, and they decided they weren't going to be able to get me. So they left. Thank goodness. Growth was, as expected, incredibly slow. But at least trike heals quickly. By the next day, I was healthy and demolishing an entire patrol zone. As I munched on oranges, another baby trike came up behind me. Alright, no big deal. Until I saw something moving just down the hill. As the juvenile Cerratos started in our direction, none the wiser that we existed, I stepped forward to put myself between them and the fresh spawn that had approached me. They would have run right on by. But then the little trike tried to group with me. Well, true to form, the Cerratos turned immediately toward the noise. I weighed as much as an adult Cerrato by this point, and probably hit like, well, a bus, so I wasn't horribly worried. While I managed to take out the first one quickly, the second proved incredibly annoying. Fat, slow, and generally unable to keep my face to the enemy, I quickly found myself irritated. If it's this difficult to hit Cerratos as a juvenile, well, let's just say that Cerrato the Scavenger remains the apex predator of the Isle for now. Finally, I predicted his movement well enough to land an alt attack, finishing him off. What a pain in the actual tail. Not really much worse for the wear, though. I returned to my business. Sort of. Down the hill, a raptor appeared. Little, but after fighting the Cerratos, the last thing I needed was a raptor, too. And so, confidence. I put on a facade. I marched down the hill toward my food as if I didn't have a care in the world. And truthfully, the raptor bought it enough to swap targets, and I relaxed. Until I spotted the adult Cerrato. No. Into the trees I went. That was actually legitimately dangerous. Of course, once in the trees, a baby raptor pounced me. Annoying. I kept moving, wanting to get further from the Cerrato, and not particularly worried about the loud little Cheeto sticking stubbornly to my hips. Once the majority of his stamina had to be gone, I finally decided to buck him off. Only for him to pounce back on. So I bucked him off again and laid down. With server reset imminent, I needed to log out, but I knew this raptor was going to keep bothering me. Feigning disinterest, I slowly stood and watched where he ran. He needed stamina. He wouldn't go far. As I approached the bushes he'd run toward, I heard him stand. Ah, there you are. No more Cheeto. After the server reset, the lag problems truly began. Ping spikes started to occur every few minutes, which was, of course, the perfect time for me to be attacked by the Trudeon pack from the Sanctuary. They had ultimately moved to the southern pond, leaving Sanctuary behind at some point. Trudeon can be scary at the best of times, but between the lag and Trike's lack of agility, I didn't like my chances. I liked them even less, knowing that night was coming. This was not going to go well for me. My ping spiked to over 200. Oh yeah, I was so dead. And yet, after the first venom cycle, I was still looking okay health-wise. The situation didn't improve though. I hoped for the ping to stabilize, but it stubbornly continued being a nightmare, sending myself and the Trudeons rubber banding everywhere. When night truly fell, things only got worse. A dibble arrived, and everything about him screamed, "If you let me get close enough to size you up, I'm gonna try to gore you." Naturally, I wasn't gonna let him get near me. Fighting the Trudeons was difficult enough as lard of the fries. I didn't need a baked potato, too. The night seemed to last forever, and as dawn approached and the blackest of darkness fell once more, I just started running. Where I thought I was going, I didn't know, but I wanted to get away from the pond, away from the dibble that kept casually trotting in my direction every time I stopped moving, and away from the Trudeon pack that was driving me up the wall. Not that running blindly in the dark helped my situation, at all. Finally, taking enough damage to see the blood screen appear properly, I went back to the pond and just went for a nice swim to wait out the venom. And avoid the dibble again, because now his behavior was becoming more aggressive, running along the water's edge, following me as I swam. I went to the far side from where he was. I know you're sick of this wacky dark footage by now, so I'll suffice it to say that in the pitch blackness, the Trudeon pack vanished long enough that I managed to flee into the forest without being pursued. Once morning came and I could see well enough to move without falling off the cliff, I headed back toward my patrol. I was incredibly hungry after such a long and laggy night. However, as I nibbled on oranges, I spotted someone familiar. Was that the dibble from the pond? He attacked a tiny trike. Oh yes, that's exactly who he was. But I was bigger. Heavier, too. I chased off the bully. Man, leave babies alone, you big turd. Back to eating. For only a moment, though. Pain noises alerted me to more danger. This time, though, it was a hacking carno. Of course. See, this is why we can't have nice things. Anyway, after putting that annoying sucker in the ground, I spent the next little while with the small herd living at the patrol. Doing fun things like taking fall damage, trying to eat all the plants before everyone else ate them all, and pretending not to hear the Cerratos attacking the herd, because there were plenty of trikes to protect each other against them. Eventually, though, knowing there would never be enough food to go around with so many trikes in one area, I said goodbye and went on my way. Sometime later, with a much happier belly, I returned to South Plains for water. Which is, of course, when a Cerrato ran up behind me and attempted to bite. He missed. Silly bean. With my growth well on the way, I wandered out looking for more diets. As I did so, another small trike rushed up behind me. Oh well. This one was much quieter than the last attempted tag-along. Ambling slowly down the hill toward the patrol, a Trudeon attacked my tag-along trike juvie. There wasn't a lot I could do. He was small, I was massive. One wrong attack and I'd likely gore him pretty heavily. Thankfully, the True gave up quickly, though. Just in time for the Cerratos to attack. The carefully aimed attack sent the larger of the two flying. Unfortunately for me, only one of my follow-up attacks hit him. Disappointing. But it still sent him scurrying away. The smaller Cerrato kept up the attack, despite his companion backing off. But he didn't last long. Apparently deciding that I couldn't see him in the tall grass, he crouched there and, by my guess, began typing in chat to his companion. It was a message he'd never get to send. With my smaller ward now needing water, I led them up the hill. We didn't get quite to the top before I heard more Cerratos. With the little trike already being quite injured, taking them into another fight would be a death sentence for them. I left them hiding and charged in aggressively, seeking to scare the group off. I was quite successful, and the dibble they'd trapped on the falls seemed grateful for the rescue. The next time I logged in, I had made my way to West Rail. Food in South had grown scarce with many trikes around again, and I needed a change of scenery anyway. As I wandered around the pond after getting a drink, I smelled pack scent and spotted Cerratos attacking a young trike. I don't know when I became the Lone Avenger, but apparently rescuing things is my job when I'm playing trike. I charged. The Cerratos backed off quickly, allowing this new trike to rest long enough to heal their bleed and get back out of the red on health. They needed water and food, though, and they weren't yet large enough to not be grabbed by the dino lurking in the pond. I prepared to guard them. Dino is, of course, more agile in the water than Trike is on land. He managed to get around me quite nicely. Ah, but now he was on land. Once the dino was back in the water, I decided I wasn't finished with him. Is swimming after a dino on a slow swimmer trike a good idea? No. But I did it anyway, because why not? And then the Cerratos returned. Great. This was a situation made in heaven. Dino on one side trying to grab the smaller trike, Cerratos on the other. I kept myself between the dino and the other trike, and we both faced the Cerratos. After a long standoff, the Cerratos gave up. This wasn't a fight they could win, not if I had anything to say about it. We moved up the hill and they watched before ultimately backing off. Oh, but the fight wasn't done yet. The trike I'd rescued still needed water, and the dino wanted him. It was a goofy dance, but it got the job done. Out of danger and with reset imminent, we said goodbye. My return was incredibly uneventful. I finished the last 10% of my growth unopposed. Well, I made it to full grown. With nothing to oppose me but other trikes and maybe some Cerratos, I logged out. Hopefully sparring for trike will release soon, but until then, I think I'll stick to my more agile creatures. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please make sure to leave a like and comment your thoughts below. If you're new here, consider subscribing for more content like this. Thanks, and I'll see you soon.